Did the Seattle Seahawks get embarrassed last week? Yes. But has there been a massive overreaction on social media, from the media in general, everywhere you go? Yes. It's an overreaction because a bad loss is a bad loss. It happens to the best players of all time, the best teams of all time, and essentially happens to everybody. The Seattle Seahawks are a good football team, and I think it's been very clear the entire season that they're a good football team. Now, they have some negatives to them. They have some lapses that cause bad losses. But if we really break down where the Seahawks are at currently, other than the week 1 loss to the Rams, which happens to a lot of teams, week 1, whatever, we're still getting a feel for the season. A lot of young players. The Seahawks are the 5th youngest team in the NFL. Let's not forget that. Other than that, they lost in Cincinnati to Joe Burrow and the Bengals and in Baltimore to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. We're talking about 2 teams that might be playing for an AFC championship this year. Those 2 teams might be more dangerous than the Kansas City Chiefs this year. A team that doesn't look the exact same as they usually do in the Chiefs. The Ravens and the Bengals might be 2 of the best teams in the NFL and have 2 of the hardest places to play, especially as a road team, in the entire NFL. So overall, they're not the worst losses. Actually, if you break down any video I've made from the past or a lot of Seahawks fans, if you asked on that schedule when the schedule came out, other than this 4-game stretch against the 2 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys, most people would say that Baltimore game in Baltimore and that Cincinnati game in Cincinnati were 2 of the losses that you probably would have picked before the season. Even as a biased Seahawks fan, you'd say those could be losses. Now it's bad because it was 37-3. I totally get that. But it's time to move forward. The Seahawks are a decent football team. They're 5-3. They're tied for first place in the NFC West. And there is nothing wrong with where the season sits currently. You could say, yes, they're maybe not a top Super Bowl contender. You can say Geno Smith's not a top 10 quarterback this year like he was last year. Okay, those things are true. That doesn't mean we're in a bad spot. Now, I think one thing that a lot of fans, and remember, we're all fans, even me talking here, I'm a fan. One thing we always get mixed up or confused is the fact that we're supposed to always be going for a Super Bowl or always fighting to be the best team possible. That's correct. But there's also a process, right? Tom Brady, who is the greatest player of all time in football, the GOAT, has 7 Super Bowls. He played more than 7 seasons, okay? We obviously all know that. Aaron Rodgers, who's considered a top 5 quarterback of all time, top 6, top 7, or whatever you want to argue. I'm not trying to argue that. He's won 1 Super Bowl. 1. So as much as I agree we are trying to play to win a Super Bowl every year, and you're trying to build to a Super Bowl every year, you can't give up over a bad game, or you can't give up because your team might be almost there, and they're not quite there. Well, screw this team, screw this season. Well, no, this actually has a lot to do with the future, the journey of this team, what's going to happen in the near future. Remember, the Seahawks, before they won a Super Bowl in 2013 and then lost one in 2014, unfortunately, because of the pass at the 1-yard line. I hate bringing it up. Before that, they had a season where they lost to the Atlanta Falcons in the playoffs, and it didn't look, it was a ending that was kind of disappointing. And I wasn't like, oh my God, us and our rookie quarterback, Russell Wilson, I can't believe we lost. This team sucks. No, I said, wow, there's a process here, and it's looking like we are setting ourselves up for a good future. Now, the only difference is Geno Smith is not young like Russell Wilson was. But it could be setting up with Geno Smith. It could be setting up to bring in a young quarterback the next 2 or 3 years. Remember, the 5th youngest team in the NFL. And they are building a culture just like they did back in 11, 12, 13, 14. They're starting to build a culture that's going to lead to Super Bowl success. So stay the course. Do not give up over freaking 1 bad loss. We're on to Washington. And we have 2 winnable games coming up, and that's where I want to get to. The Seahawks play the Washington Commanders and then the Los Angeles Rams. And before I completely just break down the Washington Commanders' thoughts and ideas, let's just talk about the fact that, as I said, we're 5-3, and we have 2 games we're likely going to be favored in. At home against the Commanders and on the road against the Rams, especially right now where Matthew Stafford's kind of hurt. We don't know if he's going to be the quarterback next week against the Seahawks. We don't know if it's going to be Carson Wentz or another backup. Who freaking knows with the Rams? I don't think we're going to lose them twice. I genuinely believe the Seahawks have a great opportunity to go win this week against Washington and then go beat the Los Angeles Rams in LA, and you'll be looking back at that Ravens game and say, I don't care. We're 7-2. We're 7-3. Sorry, we're 7-3, and we're either tied with or ahead of the San Francisco 49ers for first place in the NFC West. If we win those two games. Now, I'm not trying to jinx us. I'm not trying to move forward too fast. But I'm just saying, if we can win 2 in a row, all the loss to the Rams week 1, the loss to the Bengals, the loss to the Ravens, it will all be forgotten by most people because we'll be 7-3 and likely in first place in the NFC West, if not tied for first place in the NFC West, with our next game being San Francisco 49ers, so it doesn't even matter. Then we'd have a game where the opportunity is at home in Seattle on Thanksgiving night. Think about that. We'd have a chance to beat the 49ers, to take a tie-breaking and a one-game lead over the San Francisco 49ers. So let's win these next 2 games, and let's forget about the bad loss that we had against the Ravens because it doesn't matter anymore. To the Commanders, this game is actually a really important game when it comes to playoff implications and different things. There's Summer Sports. It's SUMER Sports. You can find them on Twitter, especially. They do pretty well there, where they break down a lot of the analytics and importance of games and different things. This is based on 10,000 game simulations for the rest of the season. Week 10 playoff probability leverage, which means this is how the difference between a loss and a win affects your playoff probability after this week. The Washington Commanders have it worse than us. A win puts them at a 27.7 chance to make the playoffs based on 10,000 simulations of the rest of the season. A loss puts the Commanders at an 11.2% chance. So for them, it's if they lose, they're putting themselves in an almost impossible chance to make the playoffs, which is why they traded away Montez Sweat and Chase Young, because the last loss made them say we probably don't have a chance. But the Seahawks have a huge difference between a win and a loss this week. If the Seahawks beat the Washington Commanders after 10,000 simulations for the rest of the regular season, it puts them at a 76.2% chance to make the playoffs. A loss to the Washington Commanders puts them at a 52.4% chance to make the NFL playoffs. So, I mean, we had a 24% chance difference between a loss and a win and what it means for our playoff probability. So this game is important. This game means a lot for the Seahawks, and it means a lot for the fact that if we are going to make the playoffs or not. And the thing is, for me, there should be no excuse losing to the Commanders. Now, sometimes you lose games, but we've had those games we just sometimes lose. We lost to the Rams at home, which was one of those, you just lose sometimes, tough game. We've had 2 other losses, one to the Bengals, where if we had a couple more red zone completions or a touchdown in the red zone, we probably win. And then we had ass kicking against the Ravens. We've had a little bit of everything. A game we should have won at home that we lost and convincingly. We had the game where we lost on the road that we could have won if we did better, and then we had the ass kicking. All 3 variations of wins and losses all 3 variations you could possibly have, we've had. But there should be no excuse. At home, Washington Commanders, after getting your ass kicked by the Ravens, you should come out and win this game. And I'm going through PFF stuff. I love PFF, if you haven't noticed, for numbers. Now, I don't think PFF's the Bible. I don't think it is the ultimate tell-all, be-all when it comes to football analytics or statistics. But I think it's a good way to see the grades of every single person, every single team, and see how they stack up against others. And it gives you some type of realistic understanding. So if we look at overall grades, the Seahawks are ahead of the Washington Commanders. The Seahawks are 9th. The Commanders are 16th. We are better offensively than them. We are 9th. They are the 13th best offense. The passing game, we are 13th. They are 21st. Pass blocking is where they're going to have us probably. They're 14th, and we are 22nd. Receiving, we are 5th. They're 14th. The run game, we're 13th. They're 19th. Run blocking, they'll have us again. Probably. No, they do not. Sorry, run blocking, we're good. We are 7th. They are 9th. Defensively, we are 13th. They're 16th. Run defense, they have us there. We're 21st. They are 12th, but they have lost Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Tackling, they're 6th. That's a high point for them, while we are 24th. That's our worst grade. Pass rush, I think we're ahead. Yeah, we're 9th. They're 21st. Coverage, we are 10th. They're 16th. And we are 5th in special teams, and they're 25th in special teams. So the only place that they have us is They're a little bit higher than us in rush defense, in the run defense. They have a better pass blocking O-line and better at tackling. That means the Seahawks overall have been a better team than the Washington Commanders. They have a better offense. They have a better passing game. They have better receiving. They have better run game, better run blocking, a better overall defense, a better pass rushing defense, better coverage, and better special teams. And for the part of defense is they also lost Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So we're a lot better than the Commanders in most aspects. Now, they're not a bad football team. They're 4-5. A win puts them at 500, and they compete. And Ron Rivera is a good coach. And Sam Howell's becoming a good quarterback. And they got some weapons at receiver. I am by no means trying to crap on the Washington Commanders, but Sam Howell's essentially like a rookie quarterback out there playing, essentially. They're just not fully there yet. And they had to give up their two best defensive linemen or the two best defensive players because they're not going to be able to afford them moving forward. So they were kind of in a weird situation. I mean, I thought they should have kept one of them and paid them in the offseason, but maybe they even see that they're not fully there yet. But they're a year or two away from being a really good football team, especially if Sam Howell figures it out. But overall, like I said, the Seahawks are just better at almost every single aspect and category of the game of football. And if that's the case, you should go out there, you should beat this team, and you should go home being happy at 6-3, knowing you fly to Los Angeles the next week, a team that might be playing a backup quarterback or have a banged-up quarterback, and you have a chance to go 7-3 and win some football games and take first place of the NFC West, or have a matchup on Thanksgiving Day against the San Francisco 49ers to take commanding lead of the NFC West. Let's hope they win this week to start, though. I truly believe they will, and I hope you believe it too, because we should believe. It's our team. I like believing. I love y'all. I'll be back soon. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, probably on Sunday night. Peace.